We've heard a lot of talk about change this year. The question is, change to what? To me, change is a government that doesn't let banks and oil companies rip off the American people. Change is when we finally fix healthcare instead of just talking about it. Change is giving tax breaks to middle-class families instead of companies that send jobs overseas.
It's time for a change in this country, my friends, a real change.
Two quotations, intellectuals in society, quote, "The intelligentsia often divide people into those who are for change and those who are for the status quo."
Yes.
Candidate Barack Obama, "We are the change we have been waiting for."
Yes.
Tom?
People who say things like this act as if they're saying something new. This is what was being said back in the 1790s, and ever since then, you know, that there's nothing older than the idea that this is new. And
Thomas Paine, "We have it in our power to make the world over again."
There you are.
Right.
But in point of fact, again, this is one of those totally unquestioned and unsubstantiated statements. John Dewey was saying, you know, that made the same thing some 60 years ago, that those of us who are for change have to fight against those who are for the status quo. Now, the people he was talking about, people like Adam Smith was not for the status quo.
Of course not.
As I mentioned in the book, why would Adam Smith spend a whole decade writing a 900-page book to say how contented he was with the way things were? I mean, when you spend a decade writing a 900-page book, something is bugging you. You know, I mean. Right. And anyone who ever bothered to read Adam Smith would see that he is pretty ticked off about a lot of things.
Once again, two quotations. You quote, at a number of points in Intellectuals in Society, you quote Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes. Here's one of them. As Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes said, "The word right is one of the most deceptive of pitfalls and a constant solicitation to fallacy." That's quotation one. Here's quotation two. Barack Obama, quote, "Healthcare should be a right for every American," close quote.
Well, there's the fallacy. No, it's the word right. It's amazing. And in one sense, I simply cannot explain it. People say we have a right to affordable housing, decent health care, we have a right to all kinds of stuff. And the question is, where did this right come from?
By the way, it is literally the case that I heard on the radio the other day. One of the questions in healthcare is plastic surgery, whether it'll be taxed or paid. I literally heard someone say that women have a right to Botox treatments.
There you are.
Just thought I'd mention that for you, Tom.
Yes, well, but that's no more arbitrary than all the other things that are called rights. I mean, right now we're going to have this trial of these terrorists in a court of law, which is absolutely unprecedented and absolutely absurd. And the question is, where did that right come from? Well, it's not in the Constitution. It is certainly not in the Geneva Convention. It's just that by loose thinking, people say, well, prisoners of war get treated that way. Yes, they're not prisoners of war. The Geneva Convention said what prisoners of war were. People who adhere to the Geneva Convention get the protections of it. But during the Second World War, when some German soldiers at the Battle of the Bulge put on American uniforms, infiltrated the U.S. line, and they were captured, they were simply lined up against the wall and shot and killed right there. And it was not something secret. The Army filmed it. And I've seen the films on the History Channel.
Really?
It was no question. If you don't play by the rules, you don't get the protection of the rules. It's that simple.
Barack Obama got his BA from Columbia, his JD from Harvard. He taught for a number of years at the University of Chicago Law School. May I suppose that Tom Sowell is duly impressed?
You might say the road to hell is paved with Ivy League degrees.